So this week, I'm going to teach you all some stuff about the three-section staff. So here we're doing like a spin, where we're holding it with one hand on the end of the middle piece, and then one hand on the bottom of one of the end pieces. This allows us to like have a guarding position, where if we wanted to use that end piece, we could use it to guard and switch to a, just a position like that, and then use the other end, which is dangling, for an attack. Or do this spin thing here. I don't even know what you call this. It's like a spin windmill. I don't know. I don't really practice with this thing much, mainly because I just, I don't know, it's just kind of big. Kind of a big thing in it. Each piece is 18 inches, so that gives you an idea. There's 3 pieces, and each is 18 inches, so that's over a foot long. Each of them. it's a foot and 6 inches. No clue what that is in metric because I'm not a conversion unit. But it is really fun to use because it's just, you can do a lot with this thing. You can do a whole lot. There's a whole lot of transfers and stuff you can do. Maneuvers. So this one is not one I've learned from like any video. I don't know if this is a technique that they teach. I don't know. It's kind of just one that I was like, hey, I think this is possible. Let me see if I can do this. And I kept hitting myself in the face until I figured it out. Basically, you hold it in the middle with both hands. Now, how would you get to this position? Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. You can get to any position on this thing by just manipulating its pieces. But anyway, it's a double spin. Whatever you would call it. Double windmill. Whatever. It's some real goofy nonsense, but it's fun. Unless you're getting started, and it's going to hit you in the face a few times. So, to manipulate its pieces, you basically have to get good at wrapping this thing around yourself and catching it. Catches are... that's what they're called. They're called catches. I just remembered something. So you can do a long catch where you have, like, one piece and... like, it's hard to explain when you use these things, but depending on the position you're in, you use a different catch. Like, if you're holding it from the middle, you'll do a catch where you swing one of the ends around, and then you just hope that works. Or maybe, I don't even remember. Dude, I'd have to go do it right now to actually tell you all what to do. But I think you can figure out by just watching me do it here. Like I said, I don't practice with this thing much. And I used to practice with it a lot more, but not much anymore. Kinda, I don't know. Just don't feel like it, I guess. One reason I don't like this is when you use the strikes, it oftentimes comes back at you. More often than with the nunchucks. That's one disadvantage. The nunchucks, they're like short enough that like the leverage of it hitting the object is not as much as with this thing, because this thing is longer and it's got more pieces. So if you're using like all 3 pieces, or all between you and your adversary, then you end up with like a massive amount of flail, and it will come back and try to hit you. But you just get used to that. It's just part of the weapon if you want to use it for that. Although I really would just recommend grabbing a stake, because that's just arguably better. Like, literally a tree branch can beat this thing, probably. Except I would be kind of scared if somebody had this thing and they were using it against me, because it is long, and the nunchucks don't have that. The reason I don't fear a person with nunchucks is because you can just get up in their space, like, really quickly, and then you don't have to worry about the actual nunchucks. With this thing, you get into their space and you're just in this massive plane that they can hit you at really ridiculous range. Like, just having it on the, like, all 3 pieces, all 3 times 18 inches is just a lot. And it's, even though it's made of plastic, this thing is heavy. The swing is heavy. Now, if I were to spar somebody who had this weapon, right, I don't really know what weapon I would take, honestly. You'd have to take something, and I'd probably just go with... honestly, just gonna go with a stick, man. Stick. Just a equally long pole. Because with an equally long pole, you can thrust at them, and you can stay out of their range. And you can also block when they attack. But it's still gonna wrap around and hit you. Definitely gonna wrap around that and hit you. Dude, this thing is a spooky weapon. But it is kind of cumbersome to actually wield. I feel like you could actually outmaneuver it if you were, like, smart in how you would chose to go about attacking them with the long stick. So if you use the long stick to spar somebody with this thing, really it's just a game of brain game. So you can actually use both the ends to both block and strike, which is a decent benefit over this, but it's kind of cumbersome because you got that piece in the middle, which can interfere with like actually moving the two pieces. So like having it would be better to just have two separate pieces, but maybe you could turn that separate piece to your advantage for like what is it called? I don't remember. Anyway, you could use it for blocking, basically, that middle piece for blocking. But there's another thing you could do with this. Grappling, that's it, that's it. Like, if you were to, like, pull it and, like, get it in the right direction, manipulate them pieces to get it to be, so, like, you could have one of their arms. I'm not really sure what you'd do from there, but, like, if you could have it between their, under their armpit and over their other shoulder, then you have control of them. How you would get to this position without them defeating you? I don't know. Plus, they're if you give them that, if you put them in that position, they're like right up like against you. Then there's really nothing you have to defend yourself with at the point. Like, there's no reason to do that. This unnecessary. I feel like the block is the good advantage you get from the middle piece when you have both the ends, because you could just pull it up, flip it over, and block something. Nice. I mean, I've never actually done that or trained anything with that, but that's a good thing to think about. So here's some of the big swings I was talking about. Now the disadvantage, like if you were to hit somebody with one of these big swings, right, it's gonna bounce off them. So if they can take at least a one shot, right, it's gonna bounce off them, come back at you, and upset your like your balance space, your like positioning and all that. It's gonna mess you up a little bit. So you'd have to account for that while also accounting for their position and all of that, and actually attacking, which is that would make this a very difficult weapon to use. But that's if they can take one shot, and probably they can. So, and if they get closer, I mean, it would kind of hurt. It really depends. Like if they just ignore the first shot and they just keep coming, like bro, he's really hyped up, or bro, he's on something. Then they're gonna close the gap and they're gonna take you down. But if you were to keep backing up and you could keep doing the long strikes, I think that would give you an advantage in a sparring competition or whatever. But eventually, they like you can't really do the big swings and move very fast. So like, you'd have to switch into them smaller swings. Maybe even just go for the typical club method, which you can easily do by just doing some catches, like what we're doing, what we just did a few minutes ago. Probably doing right here too. Who knows, dude? Honestly, I'm not even watching the video while I record this. I'm just talking about what I see when I see it. Yeah, so one time I was like, huh, these big swings, right? These big swings. Kind of, there's not really much you can do with big swings. Huh, I wonder if I can jump rope this thing. And then I decided to do that. And, yeah, I just started practicing that over and over again until I could get it. And, honestly, I still don't feel like I jump it quite right, but you can jump this thing. You can jump it. There's no practical use. It just makes it look cool. But you could definitely jump this. Maybe for a low strike. And this you would probably never you should never do this in actual sparring with this thing. Jumping over it because more than likely you're just gonna get tangled in it, or like it does maybe intimidation maybe, but like you're like, hey man, I can do this and I'm not scared that I'm not gonna mess up. I don't even know. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say, man. It's really useless. It just looks cool. And I'm not even sure I'm doing a good job at it. Because really, it's just like lifting both of your legs over the thing.